Welcome everybody to the Chinchilla Pickin' Podcast. It is June the 8th, 2025 at 4:34 p.m. As always, we hope to be entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. My name is David Underwood, and I'm joined by the one and only, the guy who just can't wake up, Brandon Beaver.
The Rambo of capitalism. Yeah, I overslept, man. I had a couple of alarms set and everything for this for four o'clock. Decided to take a nice nap, and I guess I was just a little too comfortable.
A little too tired. Did you sleep through your alarm? I mean, do you hit snooze? Are you a snooze guy? Do you have
Uh,
like five alarms?
no, you know what? I set my alarm on my Echo device. So like if I'm gonna turn off the alarm, I have to say something. Like
So
I
you
have to
probably
say,
speak in your sleep then. So you're like,
yeah, so I was like,
5 minutes.
"Hey Alexa, shut your stupid mouth," and I probably went back to sleep.
Nice. Nice. All right. Well, it's definitely been a week. I'm gonna take these off. I thought I could go longer with these on, but I can't see the
Hey,
screen,
you
man.
need them.
I can't see the screen.
This is
Like
the artist formerly known as Dave.
right? It'd be nice to keep them on, but like it just when I put them on, the like it fades like part of my screen here that I read my notes off of. Oh well. Oh
You're
well. It
about to
looked cool
break
for a
out into a
second.
piano solo, is what it looks like.
Yeah, right, right. All right, here we go. Yes. So number of things happened. I know I had a bunch of people, well, not a bunch. I had a couple people when I was at the gym this week when I was out and about asked me my opinions on different things. One thing a lot of people asked me was, are you guys going to cover a lot of how this? I mean, we got to talk about it. How the public feud between two people has it affected stocks or investments? And I told them no, it's affected one stock, one company,
Yeah.
and it had a wild swing there. And I said that's it. So I'm not gonna. I told everybody I'm not gonna spend 15 minutes talking about that. I think Tesla's a great company long term because of their Optimus robot program, because they also have this driverless tractor trailer part of the company as well. They have still more growth to go in AV vehicles, autonomous driving vehicles. They have more growth to go in that area, so it's a good investment long term.
I
Now
never thought,
the
I
ups
never,
and downs of the yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
no, you can talk. I just interrupted you.
I was gonna say the ups and downs currently in the market. I mean, if you're holding long term, then you don't even worry about it. But go ahead.
What a stupid feud to start. And I
I,
never thought I'd use the word stupid in relation to Elon Musk, but what a stupid feud to
yeah,
start.
so that's it. That's my 2 cents. I'm done. For everybody that listens, I'm done. Please, that's all I'm going to cover. There's nothing more to cover for me.
I don't
As
know.
far as from a financial, stock, and investment analyst point of view, that's it. That's all I got.
And I agree.
Yeah, but I tell you what, it is gorgeous over here in Cincinnati, Ohio. A little bit of rain every now and then, but gorgeous summertime. Everybody's happy. Kids are out of school. It's a good time. It's a good time to go to Reds games, apparently, in Cincinnati, FC Cincinnati. It's a good time to do all that kind of stuff. We have lots of fun here. Oh, Dr. Pepper, you're not going like zero? You don't do zero drinks like zero
No,
Dr. Pepper
no,
or Coke Zero or Pepsi Zero?
everything. So I think it might be because I'm from the South. So like everything, like my family's from the South. I was born here, but my family's from the South, right? So I grew up on Dr. Pepper. I mean, my parents oftentimes had Pepsi Cola and I just said Pepsi Cola. How old am I? But Pepsi and Coke is what my parents often had. But my grandma, it was always Dr. Pepper, and I always had Dr. Pepper. RC Cola was another one. And that's all. That's a South thing, I think. I think it's for me, my family, from being in the South. It's in my blood.
You know what's funny is so I'm very proud of my native history and my Native American side of my family tree, right?
Mhm.
Very very proud of that culture that's in me. One thing is on that side of the family, I grew up and all I remember growing up was everybody drinks Shasta Cola. Shasta Cola this, Shasta Cola that, and people would ask me, okay, because I don't present Native American. I look, 100% white. Just you could tell there's some ethnicity in me is what people say. But and I tell people when they ask, okay, tell me something about Native American culture. I'm like, we all drink Shasta Cola, and everybody. I used to work at a place, and everybody there thought I was just weird and like, no, they don't. Native American, nobody drinks Shasta Cola. That's not a Native American thing. And then one day we got this National Geographic about the North American Native Indian, and in it you flip through it, and there's all these different tribes, right, across the northern part of the continental United States. And in all these pictures inside the homes, every single one was drinking Shasta Cola, and I was vindicated. I
I've
was like,
never
there you go.
I've never heard of Shasta Cola. Never.
Shasta Cola. It's a thing among Native Americans. I mean,
Is it
I
is
don't
it
know why, but we love Shasta Cola.
do we have it in Ohio?
No, not that
Okay.
I'm aware of.
So it's like a Western thing.
Not well, Great Plains,
Okay.
West, that type of thing. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's yeah, Shasta Cola. That's all I remember. That being around that side of the family, it was that growing up. It was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
There's
we're always talking about the Shastan tribe and Mount Shasta, and it was a big part of the culture back then. But oh well.
okay. So there is a Shasta tribe. Is this actually a cola made by the
Uh,
Native
no,
Americans?
it's not made by that tribe. The Shasta tribe is it's a tribe recognized by the state of California in California. They lay claim to the area around Mount Shasta is what they say. They do not have a official reservation, but they lay claim to the area around Mount Shasta. They say that they're owed money from the federal government because they came in and brutally massacred the tribe in around 1848 and took a lot of the gold and land from them and moved them around. There's a history there among the Shastan tribe, and yeah.
Nuh-uh, that doesn't seem like the government.
Right? Yes. Not at all. Not at all like our government. Yes. But there you go. That's enough about that. People didn't come to hear this. People came to hear about stock and investment financial news. So let's give them what they came for. Brandon and I get together 5 to 10 minutes before the show, and we tell each other what we're going to talk about. You actually hear the live back and forth, the bicker and the banter right here on the show for you. Brandon, like most time, not always, but most of the time, take it away.
All right. So, I think a lot of people reacted to the ADP jobs report, which was interesting because, I was looking at stock twits and everybody expecting the stock market to go down, and I was thinking, you guys really haven't been here all that long, have you? Because I knew exactly what was going to happen. That jobs report came out. It wasn't really necessarily bad news. It was just kind of like mediocre news. And then, the whales and the algos took over and they're like, yay, rate cuts, and then piled into the stock market, which is a terrible reason to invest. Good reason to trade, bad reason to invest. But I started looking at it and I was looking at all these companies that are doing hiring adjustments and hiring freezes and this and all that stuff. And from my perspective, the tech sector is restructuring, though demand for roles in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, cloud computing, that all remains strong. I looked at retail, saw that Hudson's Bay companies announcing massive layoffs and store closures. And then they also have a hiring freeze for locations that are staying open as a part of, I guess what they're doing is they're looking at possibly liquidating. So maybe a possible situation with bankruptcy there. I don't know. Walmart has announced some layoffs.
And
Let's see.
what part of Walmart? I'll be curious because Walmart's so huge. Like they could lay off like 5,000. It's just all cybersecurity.
Yeah, it was weird, as I said, primarily in the technology department.
Well, all right. So that makes sense. And this is what my question. I was going to ask you this question, and I'm glad I started asking about what part of Walmart because I wanted to eventually ask you this question to see if you knew the answer to it based off what you're about to go into your data.
Yeah.
Is I was talking about this with a couple people I know, and we're pondering over different startup business ideas, and I was going to invest some money, and they do the work, and they get the sweat equity, and I get the capital equity, and we have a business, and we were talking about building the software side of it and the coding. And there's a young kid, he's part of this group, and he's 19, 20, and he said, we don't need a coder. AI can do it for us.
Yes.
And that I was like, you know what? We're probably going to see more and more people like that get laid off
Yep.
in the industry because we don't need them anymore. AI can do that for us now.
Yep. Yep.
We just have AI code everything, write all the script we need and HTML, what have you, and AI has it.
Yeah, and for the jobs that are going to stay around in coding, unfortunately, their salaries are probably going to go down because competition in that for the job space is going to go up as a result of people getting
Yes.
laid off. But also, if you get on to Google's Gemini right now, one of the first things that you encounter is the fact that Google's Gemini can teach you how to code. So there's going to be a lot of people in that area that know how to do it.
Yeah, I didn't know really Gemini can teach you how to code because
Yeah,
I might, you know, I got a couple hours a week I can spare and I can
right.
learn how to code.
Maybe make a little side gig, but there's going to be a lot of people doing that now. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on those earnings, or not earnings, but on those paychecks, unfortunately.
Right? Because now if I could hire Joe over here with only 2 years experience and do the same job that Bill over here is doing for 15 years of experience, I could hire Joe probably for a third of the price of Bill.
Yeah, and Joe can probably do it part time for you
Yeah,
rather than having a full time role.
exactly. And so save money all around. If, as a business owner, that's what you would look at.
Yeah, it's part of, this whole AI restructuring. There are going to be jobs created for this, but right now I think we're seeing the layoff portion of it, and we're starting to see, the negative side of it. The positive side is going to come around too.
Well,
Uh,
and also when you couple this with the I know we're talking about jobs, and we're going to get into the numbers
yeah,
of jobs
I
because
need to get
I
back
have
to that.
lots of numbers of jobs too, and I have lots of data to go in here as well. You and I both mentioned this before the show started that we both have lots of data here, but when you couple it with Tesla's Optimus program that they still say is on track for 10 years out to start rolling out the warehouses, you're going to have robots moving boxes and robots planning the code for everything. It's going to take a lot of these jobs away everywhere, but other jobs will be created because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in 10 years, what's crazy? So they said that in a recent study that artificial intelligence, the power of it is doubling every 6 months. So, I
That
mean,
is
this
crazy.
is moving very, very fast. I think in 5 years, even from right now, there's going to be answers to problems we didn't even know we had. And there's going to be jobs and industries that we can't even imagine right now.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So I
Um,
mean, eventually before this week's podcast is up, I would say like what are some of your places you're going to put your money,
yeah, I got that. Actually, I'm going to talk about
I,
that.
I do too. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we're on the same hey, we're on the same page for once.
Right.
Nice.
Back to the jobs, though. So in the financial services sector, there was Toronto Dominion Bank. They're cutting jobs and restructuring. T. Rowe Price is slowing hiring. Transportation, Japanese automaker Nissan, they're cutting jobs. They're shutting down factories globally due to weak sales. Burberry is cutting jobs globally to combat weak spending. My goodness, I can't talk. Weak spending in the luxury goods sector. Small businesses, this is tariffs hit them the worst. Anybody with 50 or fewer employees, they lost 13,000 jobs in May. Oh, so the U.S. private sector did, though, add 37,000 jobs altogether. So I hate when they say this. This is part of the news story that I was looking at. This marks the lowest pace of hiring since March 2023. And then you look back and you're like, well, what happened in March 2023? Oh, yeah, nothing. There was no recession in March 2020. There's no reason to even point this out. Who cares? If it
Right.
was like the slowest pace of hiring since COVID, then fine. But whatever. We still added 37,000 jobs in May. That was lower than what was expected, and then that's why kind of everybody jumped in and thought, "Oh, yay, possible rate cuts." Not a recession, but not great news either. So we'll
Right?
probably
So
give some of
can we
those gains back.
gotcha. I want to offer some more of these job numbers because I actually have the Bureau of Labor Statistics page up and not an article about it. I have the actual data here.
Let,
That
let
way
me say
you
let me say
you
this real quick.
go
The
ahead.
job growth came in leisure and hospitality, financial activities, and information. It's interesting. If we were going into a recession and the consumer was getting hit hard and it was as bad as what people are making out to be, leisure and hospitality would not be adding 38,000 jobs and be the leader in that. It would not. That
Yeah.
would be getting cut. So go ahead.
Yeah, leisure hospitality, they added 48,000 total jobs in May. So, and that was according, if you break it down even further, that's food services and drinking places. That was 30,000 of that 48,000
Yeah.
was in that. So it's, leisure and hospitality, they've added an average of 20,000 jobs per month for the last 12 months rolling.
Yeah.
They continually add jobs. So that's, I mean, people are spending money going out. That's a good sign for the last 12 months rolling. It's been consistently adding jobs. Um, when I look into some of these other numbers, one things I want to call out here. So the number of people not in the labor force who currently want a job was it was little change at 6 million. So these are individuals who are not counted as unemployed because they were not actively looking for work during the 4 weeks preceding the survey or unable to take a job, right? So
Mhm.
that's 6 million. Among those in the labor force who wanted a job, so the number of people marginally attached to labor force is 1.6 million. Again, little change, about the same. It's has been. These are all for rolling 12 months. When they say little change, they look at the last 12 months rolling. Little change, very little change in these numbers. Number of people jobless less than 5 weeks, it actually increased to 2.5 million in May. Number of long-term unemployed, that's they've been looking for a job for 27 weeks or more, decreased month over month by 218,000. So you kind of have an offset there between the two. So little change overall, if you will. And you can continue going. The number of unemployed people is at 7.2 million. So that's little change month over month. 7.2 million unemployed people. And when I say little change, that's little change in comparison to the last 12 months rolling, right? Now, when you go and look at the number of available job openings, again, all of this I'm pulling from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics websites. I'm not pulling from article. I'm not pulling from any site. I'm pulling directly from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The number of job openings was little changed at 7.4 million in April. I started reporting this number on this podcast. What do you say, about a year and a half ago, Brandon?
Yep.
About, and at that time, it was almost 11 million, almost 12 million, or maybe it was 2 years ago. It was either 11 million or 12 million, and it's been trending down for a while now. And now we seem to be bottoming out here around the 7.4 million mark of number of available jobs. It's almost, you could basically say it's equal to the number of unemployed people at 7.2 million jobs. So that tells you we have almost the exact same amount of job openings as we do unemployed, quote unquote, people in America right now. And if that actually begins to inverse to where the amount of job openings drops below the amount of people who are unemployed, that's when it becomes a problem. Right now, we're close to that inverse. We haven't had this inverse in a long time. And so that's a problem when we don't have enough jobs for the amount of people who want jobs, who actually want them. And we're right at that edge of they're neck and neck, and it could inverse, and that's one of the things I look at to determine if we're going to have a downturn in the economy. But as of right now, I said it after saying all that. As of right now, the jobless number was good for the economy. It was a positive. You see healthcare doing well. Healthcare has done very well, especially in the S&P. So the S&P earnings for Q1, overall healthcare saw a overall growth for the quarter of what was it, 4.1% growth. It was actually estimated at the start of Q2 that the healthcare sector would have a 9.6% growth for Q1 when they report their earnings, but it actually came in at 4.1%. In fact, that's a trend. Overall, the S&P, the most of the companies report majority of companies reported positive earnings. They beat their earnings. But the forecasts like we talked about were actually lowered. And so yes, they beat what they were estimated, but the number was lowered.
Right.
And we're just throwing out a lot of numbers right now. People are like getting bored here. What does this all mean? Brandon, thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think it means we're not going to go into a recession at the moment. I mean, I don't want to be one of those people that says it's not going to be a recession and there's a recession that bites me in the butt. But, you know, I do think that we're going to have a second consecutive quarter of negative GDP growth. But again, I think that's people that, the tariff, the reciprocal tariffs, most of them, a lot of them at least on China, were reversed for a 90-day period. And I think that there's going to be a lot of people importing a lot of stuff in order to beat that 90-day, deadline. And I think that that's going to reverse GDP again, and it's just going to skew the numbers. It's going to look like we're in a recession, but we're really, really not. Um, there was some more good news that was released this week. The Consumer Price Index came out on June 6th. Headline CPI was 2.3%, which was lower than the month prior, which was 2.5%. It was also lower than the consensus of 2.5%. And then the day after the CPI was released, the Producer Price Index was released, and this was a huge surprise. That was down a half a percentage point, and core PPI was down 0.4%. So that's all good news for me. That's very close to the Federal Reserve's target, which they're almost never dead on 2% inflation. They never get to it. It's been their goal for decades, but it's never there. So
If they do hit it, they go right through it and then they go into deflation.
yeah, exactly. So then we're seeing these disinflationary pressures right now. Hopefully, it's not going to become deflationary, but I think this is giving the room to the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates if they have to. So as an investor right now, I'm not worried.
At all.
No.
Good, because I'm
I,
not I'm not worried either. And I get a lot of people comments up to me like when I go to my gym, I get individuals coming to me, you worried about the recession and the economy right now? I hear it's going bad.
yeah,
And I'm like, I'm not concerned, man. I'm
yeah.
not.
Now, as a libertarian, it's a different story because the reason I'm not concerned as an investor is because I think the Federal Reserve and the federal government will bail us out if they have to. As a libertarian, I hate that, but as an investor, eh, it is what it is. So, yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting to look at these job numbers. Everybody was kind of screaming recession. The other thing that people say is that the stock market is overvalued, right? And I don't see it as overvalued at all. I really
I
don't. It's fairly valued if you're looking at the S&P 500, but yeah, I don't think it's you can find value still for
so
sure.
so the people making that comment they point out Nvidia and they point out the PE ratio of Nvidia and they say, look, the market's overvalued. And they point out the PE ratio of Tesla. Look, the market's overvalued. And they're pointing out the PE ratios of these companies that have extreme growth and are actually meeting that growth expectation
Yeah,
that people have for them, which means that they're actually undervalued.
right,
They're
right.
not overvalued,
EPS growth of 81% for Nvidia. Then it
right?
makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense that you
Really,
have that high PE ratio because that's what we value that stock and that company at,
yeah,
and it's correctly valued,
right.
and it's going to go higher. And that that argument is they're pulling out two or three companies, and I'm like, do you even have any idea how many companies there are available to buy and sell on the stock exchanges that you want to pull out two companies? And now I'll give you this, Nvidia does move the markets.
Yeah.
They do, but I mean, you can't just pull out two companies and say the whole economy is going bad.
I mean, there were years where Netflix and Amazon had massively high price to earnings ratios that were way higher than what Nvidia's is right now. And what happened to the stocks? They kept going up
Yeah.
because they kept proving that they were able to meet those goals. Um,
And Netflix continues to go up, by the way.
yeah, it does. And yeah, well, they're doubling their market cap by 2030. That's their goal. So if they do that, then it makes sense. So.
They
Which
would
is
only have
crazy
a
because I
dividend.
mean, you look at companies like Meta, AI, and Netflix, and they continuously find new people that are alive on the globe to have their services. You didn't think there was anybody left. They find them.
Right? I mean, who doesn't have Facebook or Instagram by now?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. But we wanted to talk a little bit about the artificial intelligence and the way to trade artificial intelligence. Really, the way for me, the way to invest in it. Um, I, look at last week, for example. We've talked about on the show multiple times how we're going to have a energy revolution here in the United States, and to power all these new data centers that are coming up. And Meta just made a deal with Constellation Energy. That's going to be a 20-year agreement. I didn't see anything on the financials of this. I don't think that's been released yet.
But
But
you made a, so I want to interrupt you here. You made a correct buy on Constellation Energy when you were talking about data centers about almost a year ago at this
yeah,
point. You pulled up we did a podcast and you talked about data centers for 15, 20 minutes. And you said Constellation Energy is perfectly poised to take advantage of this.
yes, and so is GE Vernova, and I still stick to that.
Yeah, I still own GE Vernova and I expect
Yeah,
it to grow.
me too. Um, in May, Alphabet, they said that they're going to provide funding to help Elemental Power prepare three potential sites in the United States for major nuclear projects. And Amazon in October announced agreements of development of small nuclear reactors with Dominion Energy. In March, again, this was relatively under appointed or relatively underreported, but in Amazon, they announced a partnership with GE Vernova, and that's going to be for power, and then also GE Vernova is going to be doing consultation services with AWS, and then also in return, GE Vernova is going to be using Amazon's AWS services. So we've got a lot of partnerships going up on here. My play here is this, for example, NVIDIA is your pure play on artificial intelligence, and then you want to look at hyperscalers like Google, Meta, Amazon, AI servicers like ASML, which we talked about 2 weeks ago, I think, when Nick was on the show,
Yep.
and then energy demand GE Vernova. So NVIDIA is going to get paid by Google, Meta, Amazon, etc. Google, Meta, Amazon, they're going to pay GE Vernova, and then NVIDIA is going to be paying their servicers like ASML. So you're owning the entire ecosystem of artificial intelligence here, minus Taiwan Semiconductors, which I'm going to leave that up to the listeners if they want to buy it or not. If Taiwan Semiconductors was by itself and there was no possibility of China ever wanting to take over Taiwan, I would be screaming buy right now.
Well, you want to know what? Here's one of the articles I have because it ties right into this. You ready? This article came out in Bazinga
Yeah,
on Bazinga on June 6th, so 6/6/2025 at 4:42 a.m. And the headline reads, Amazon bets big on Taiwan with 5 billion cloud push. A $5
interesting.
billion cloud push launches a new AWS region to power AI and data growth. So Amazon announced plans to invest more than $5 billion in Taiwan's cloud infrastructure as it launches a new Amazon Web Service in the Asia Pacific region. This investment will support construction, connection, operation, and maintenance of the data centers across the island nation.
Interesting.
So Taiwan investment follows Amazon's recent $10 billion commitment to North Carolina data center. So what we're seeing here is Amazon's putting billions and billions of dollars out there for all these data centers, but they're not leaving out Taiwan.
Interesting.
And
Now,
that's probably going to help Taiwan semiconductor is what I believe.
yeah, I agree. And now playing into this whole semiconductor trade and artificial intelligence, last week there was the Bank of America Global Technology Conference that happened on June 4th. The Texas Instruments CEO was talking, and he said that we're seeing a broad recovery in the semiconductor space. We are at the beginning of a semiconductor cyclical upturn. And he said that he thinks the industry's hit a trough. It's now seeing the upswing. There's a lot of analysts that are agreeing with him right now, saying that we still have a couple of quarters, at least, maybe even a year or so to go before this new cycle peaks. He said the peak of the cycles for semiconductors, they tend to go pretty predictably every 4 years. So, for example, it's 2014 and then 2018 and then 2022. And then he thinks that this cycle is going to peak in 2026 and that we're in the very early innings of this peak. I
That's funny
also,
because Broadcom had a earnings miss,
yeah,
and they're a semiconductor company. They missed on top
yeah.
line numbers.
I think that we're going to get to the point where semiconductors are not so um, cyclical anymore. During NVIDIA's presentation at this conference, they started talking about how nations are looking at artificial intelligence as a structural thing. Infrastructure is what they're calling it. Artificial intelligence infrastructure. And I think that we're going to get to the point where artificial intelligence is a consumer staple. And it's sort of comparable to electricity to companies.
Now you say consumer staple. Where do you see AI as a consumer staple, not an industry staple? I can see how businesses and industrials will consume AI, but what do you mean by consumers?
Well, consumer staple, what I mean by that is actually still it's a business. I mean business staple too. I think it's going to be a staple in advertising and ad revenue. I think that it's going to be a staple to industries. So I'm really calling the industries are the consumers of artificial intelligence right now. So are people like you
Gotcha.
and me using Chat GPT and Gemini and all that. But it's more of a business staple, yes.
Gotcha. All right. So just today, Meta announced at 2:16 a.m. this morning. Headline reads Meta in talks over Scale AI. That's a company, Scale AI, investment that could exceed $10 billion. So Meta announced they're in talks to invest over $10 billion in artificial intelligence startup Scale AI. This is actually reported on the newswires by Bloomberg News. The terms of the deal were not yet finalized and could still change. Scale AI declined to comment, and Meta did not immediately respond to the Reuters request for a comment outside regular business hours. That means we'll probably see this come out with comments on Monday morning. But Scale AI was founded in 2016, is a data labeling startup. It's backed by NVIDIA and Amazon and Meta, all three. The last value of the company was nearly $14 billion. So a $10 billion investment is huge, means they're valuing this even more, especially since Amazon's already been an investor in this company. I mean, Meta's already been an investor in this company. They probably know a lot about what's going on there. So now they want to invest even more. Tells you that Scale AI has something.
Yes.
So it's with contributors in more than 9,000 cities and towns. That's literally the whole article.
I love this race. I love being a part of it as an investor. I mean, I know it makes some people sick seeing the capital expenditures, the capex go up on these companies that they own. But I cannot wait to see where this goes, to see who the leaders are in 5 to 10 years. And honestly, I still think we're going to see the same leaders. I think we're going to have Google, Microsoft, Meta. I think there'll be just we'll start to figure out what they're doing better than each other in this area by then.
Yeah, and I hope that we have different leaders over time. Yeah, so leaders in industry change over time. Sears was a leader in industry for a long time. They're no longer. IBM was a leader in industry. They're still around, but they're no longer the leader in the industry for a long time. There's a company that a lot of our younger listeners might not know. Lehman Brothers was a leader in industry for over 100 years. For 100 years, they're no longer around. So leaders in industries can change. But yes, for the near term future, I don't see people dethroning the Mag 7 anytime soon.
Right. Add Palantir into this too. I think Palantir is going to be a leader. There's new and upcoming software development companies. JFrog is one of them. They presented at this conference as well. It's going to be a very fun ride for investors and for spectators.
A fun ride.
Yes, it
I'm going to
will be.
quote you on that. Put on a t-shirt. Nice. Nice. All right.
Excited to
So,
see where we go. I mean, we've already come so far in just the past couple of years with artificial intelligence. I'm excited and I'm a little scared.
yeah, and I want to talk about that. So, since all right, so I don't know how to word this. I'm going to read from the sheet here because it's really cool. Of the S&P 500 and the companies that report earnings, right? During their earnings call, how many companies do you believe cited AI as a term during this last quarterly earnings for Q1?
I would go like 85% is what I
So
would.
give me a number, the S&P 500. So 500 companies, how many of them cited the term AI in their earnings call?
Quick math in my head here. 480, let's say that.
You're actually way off. It was 210.
450. Oh, okay.
210. The 5 year average is 114. The 10-year average is 72. So if you go back to like Q1 of no Q2 of 2015, it's actually well below 10 companies even said AI. So this is how recent AI has been brought up.
Who's not? I want to know who's not talking about it, and I want to
A
short
lot
them.
of companies, a
It's
lot of
crazy.
companies.
Why? How is that
Yes.
even a thing? Because this affects every aspect of.
So let me get in on this. I could break down those numbers even more. So right. So
Okay.
I'm using factset.com and it's breaking down the S&P 500 and all the earnings that have been reported for Q1 of 2025. So they report those earnings between in March, April. No, is it? No, it's April, May, and June, right?
Yeah.
April, May, and June they report for Q1. So we're still in it, but 99% of companies have already reported. So it's a good time to look at these numbers. So the percentage of S&P 500 companies citing AI on earnings call, right? So if you go to information technology sector, 94% of them cite AI. If you go to commercial services, 55% cite AI. And it keeps going down from there. So you go down to like let's say healthcare, 37% of them have cited AI on earnings call. If you go at the very bottom of the list here for a sector, of all the sectors they have divided, consumer staples, only 12% of companies have cited AI.
That's unbelievable.
Yep.
That is,
Yeah.
I mean, it could do everything for you. I mean, straight down to scheduling your employees now. I mean, artificial intelligence can do that probably better than most humans can.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
and
utilizing counters and data of individual stores. I mean, every time you walk in, it counts you as a customer, right? So
yes,
it can come up with your peak times and your troughs and all that stuff as far as like your customer data goes,
it
and
could
they can
even tell you
schedule
which
based on
coworkers
that.
are the best. They did coffee shops and which coworkers were actually the most productive and which ones were not helping
Yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah. Or in other industries, what coworkers are better at certain jobs
Yep.
versus, their peers and utilize them. I mean, this is,
So I mean that's going to help managers out tremendously because if you think about it, I've been a manager at a lot of big global companies,
Hmm.
and I would say if AI, the computer program can look through video footage and scan in and what have you, and tell me which coworkers are underperforming, and then all I have to do is deliver the news to that coworker and say, "Here's what the computer says you're underperforming on." It takes me out of the equation 100% altogether, and there goes half of all lawsuits.
Yep.
Half of all lawsuits are gone because now the human element's gone. They can't say it's human or they don't like me or this or that. The computer did it.
Yep.
It makes it a lot easier for managers to performance manage poor performing coworkers out of the business.
I just don't understand. Even like Colgate Palmolive, which is a consumer staple, we'll use them as an example. I mean, measuring their sales, could really like streamline their logistics process, and what Kroger's they're delivering to, or Meyer they're delivering to more, who they're restocking the fastest. This affects everybody.
Sale,
So I
yeah,
mean,
all kinds of cells, and it can break it down so much faster, quicker. Anyways, yes, there's a lot that AI does, and so was I surprised at some of these numbers? Yeah,
yeah,
but I mean, information technology, almost 100% of them were quoting AI at some point or another.
yeah.
So
But I mean, it just shows that how much room there is to grow in the
yeah,
space.
and like I said, majority of all companies actually beat their estimates on their quarterly earnings for Q1. The ones that did not were the energy companies, oil and gas. They had bad quarters. They lowered their estimates. They're probably gonna have bad quarters again. The growth for the S&P 500 companies, the 500 companies that make up the S&P 500, the growth estimate for Q2 is 4.9% growth.
Okay.
So
And see, that's exactly why I think the stock market's not overvalued right now.
yeah,
Earnings were
right.
good.
I feel strong that we're good as well. So all right, Brandon, what else do you have, sir?
That's everything I had.
All right, perfect. You ready for some more crypto? Because who doesn't love some crypto
How did
news?
we miss the Circle IPO on last week's episode, by the way?
I saw, I read about something with Circle IPO.
Yeah, it was pretty big. It was
It's
actually a
really,
pretty big deal.
yeah, it that rings a bell. Like I did some research on it, but like nothing's coming to my head right now.
Okay, we'll move on.
We'll move on. Solana, I want to give an update on this. This is one I hold. I own some Solana. Unlike Bitcoin, this is not one I bought over 10 years ago and I got over 10 years ago and I've been holding forever. This is one I just recently bought. And I recently bought it because of Web3 gaming and all these other meme coins and all these other uses for Solana. But it just recently took a big drop down. So I kind of want to take a moment and explain what happened on Thursday. And what Thursday and Friday, you had somebody move something, it was somewhere around almost $200 million worth of Solana all at once out of Solana and transfer it to a different wallet and a different cryptocurrency coin. So they kept it in the crypto space, but they moved it from Solana and they moved into another one. But when they pulled it out just like that, it causes prices to drop really fast
I blame
because
Mark.
right, it probably was Mark. Because then if the market see that, oh, big drop, other people start selling. The computers that do the computer algorithms selling and buying, they start selling. The more people start selling, and it creates a market to where a price will drop dramatically because one person decided to move their money. And that's what happened. Solana is back up on a rebound. They are back up last time I checked to 152 and change. I'm pulling it up right now as I'm talking so I could give you an actual price that is currently it's at 154, so it's continuing to move back up. It's continuing to rebound from this event that happened, but that's what happened to it. I still believe in the future of Solana. I think it's going to have a great future. I think it's going to eventually be over $1,000 a coin. Now, how long is it going to take to get there? That's the thing. So when people hear that and they see that it's only at $154 right now, they think, oh, I can make a lot of money. Let me put in this now, and then by Christmas I'll have millions. No, That's not what I'm talking about. I just want to be very clear. That is not what I'm talking about. When I say I believe in the future, because there's a lot of uses for Solana, I'm talking, in a few years, it could get to that point. Yes. I'm not talking by Christmas. No. So I invested in it. I've left my money in Solana. I still believe in this. There's a lot of upside here and a lot of things that can go well. Currently, they've had some 180 has been a ceiling for Solana, and I'm hoping it's going to break through and get above that 200 mark again and continue going, right? So that's just one of the things. I just believe there's so many uses for this. There's no reason why not to buy some Solana and own it.
Okay.
Brandon, any thoughts on cryptocurrency? I know you don't have many, and I know you and I disagree on a lot of things of crypto, but I like to
I
report
don't
on it.
know that we disagree on it. I just don't like the companies using the reserves for crypto. It's not that I don't think it'll go up. It's just that I think it's too risky for that. But that's harkening back to last week's episode. So, um, no, I mean, other than that, no, I don't.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Especially
And
Solana.
I still so yes, and you know, I have a lot of good investment ideas, and I do have some calls this week, but you know that's really all I have for crypto. There's not a whole lot going on. I know there's some crypto news coming out next month that I mentioned to Brandon. Still in the works. I don't have solid news on that, so I'm not going to report it. So I do, but
Okay.
that's still in the works. So that's coming up. Just keep listening, and hopefully one week I'll let that go.
Hmm.
Brandon,
No, I know. I know what it is.
final
But I'm
thoughts.
just saying.
Final thoughts.
Are we doing the final thoughts of this episode? Look, I mean, everybody, kind of freaked out over the ADP numbers this week. They glossed over one important thing, though, Dave. People who are keeping their jobs, 4.5% increase in wages. People who are changing
Yes.
jobs, 7% increase in wages for people who
Yes.
change. So inflation's down near 2% right now. Wage growth, 4.5%. We're in one of those situations right now, which, by the way, is rare, where wage growth is more than doubling inflation,
Yes.
which is probably why you see the leisure and hospitality leading in the job growth right now. It's because the consumer right now is fine.
The consumer is doing well right now, and they have the credit. Yes, household debt goes up, but it's continued. It's gone up forever.
The sentiment's
Um,
still low.
you know what?
I,
Don't even get me started on sentiment. I got on my soapbox about consumer sentiment
I
multiple
think
times this year on our
I,
podcast.
I have in my mind, I keep picturing like a somebody doing one of these surveys like on the beach of Fort Lauderdale where people are chilling at the beach and they're like, "Hey, what do you think about the economy right now?" And they're sipping a margarita and they're like, "Oh yeah, man, we're in a recession."
I've been to Fort Lauderdale. It's beautiful beaches,
Yeah,
by
it
the
is
way.
good. It is a good beach.
It's great beaches. Yes. Yes. I'm going to Florida here soon too. So,
I like Fort Lauderdale, Destin Beach, and then over on the East Coast, Myrtle Beach. It's good times.
yep. Destin's actually where I'm going next. So,
Nice, nice.
yes,
Destin and
Destin.
Clearwater, I think, is right next to Destin too, if I remember right.
Close to it, I believe.
Yeah, I
Close.
think
I
it's
don't know. I'm not a Florida type individual. I've gone to Miami for work before and other places for work, but Destin's for fun. So there you go. My final thought, duh, right? Yeah, that's what we're waiting on here. So my final thought, I still believe in GE Vernova. I like the data center, what Brandon was talking about, how we're going to continue striking these deals. The nuclear is back on the table in a big way for the American industrial complex, and that means huge news for GE Vernova. That's why I own it. I still recommend that to people. Another company I still recommend to people is Ares Capital. That's ARCC, still paying out a nice dividend. Again, this is one I started buying when it was around $19-20 a share. So I have it at a better price than what it's at now. It's still at a good price for a dividend payment. I'd recommend, put 5% of your influx of cash that you have coming in a month into Aries Capital, not majority of it, just 5%. Start building a dividend position because it's good to have these that pay out dividends, right? I own Mo. I've owned Mo for that's Altria, if you don't know. I've owned Mo for quite a long time. I mean, I've talked about Mo for I don't know how many years, Brandon. I since we started this podcast, I believe I've owned Mo. Right. I stopped buying because it got too high. It got too high that now when I get my dividends from Mo, I just invest it in other areas because Mo has just moved up in price, which is great. I almost have a what if I do my math right now, I have over a 50% return
Nice.
on the stock, not to mention the over 10% dividend payment I get every single year.
Yeah,
So
which is awesome.
that's fabulous. I've loved Mo, but I don't recommend buying it right now. It does go up and down over the years. So I've watched Mo now for almost 17 years. This is how old I am. I've watched Altria for almost 17 years, and the stock price will go up and down. So I believe it may go down here eventually once people move out of safe havens and back into risky speculating. People might pull money out of Mo, or they might not.
Yeah.
But that's been the trend over the time I've watched it is it will go up in price and then come back down. When it comes back down, that's the time to buy
Yeah.
because it's very consistent. But
What
Aries Capital AR, sorry, go ahead.
I know, and what's going to happen there is when people go risk on again, Nvidia is going to take off.
Yes, Nvidia will, yeah, and that's why it's good to own Nvidia as well. But that's why I also ARCC, I own that one as well. That's a good dividend payment for me. Um, Nvidia is not one I currently own, but when people ask me on the street, which happens now, I don't know why, Brandon, but I run into people all the time. I say Nvidia is a good one to put money in long term. Is one I say. Put money in long term. Nvidia. I still say Google. I know you were hesitant on saying Google going forward. I still say it, and it's risen up lately. I would say the past month it is up 6%.
Wait, what did you say I'm hesitant on?
Google, Alphabet.
Oh, no, I am back to being good on Google.
You're back. Okay.
Yeah, and
You're
I've
back
owned
to
it.
being good.
I've owned it
Okay.
through the whole thing. I never sold it. I've
Yeah,
owned
you
it
and
through
I
the whole
both owned
thing.
it through this whole mess that they've gone through, but I
Yeah,
I feel confident in them that they're gonna win
Gemini,
out.
Gemini Pro came out. The 2.5 version of Pro came out, and I'm very impressed. So,
Okay, so there you go. All right. But that's all we got. So let me end it the way I started it with these sunglasses that now I can't see the screen.
yeah,
But I'm
have a
gonna
good
end it this way.
have a good day, Davey Wonder.
Davey Wonder. All right. As always, we hope we've been entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. Have a good night.
Have a good night.